most U.S. workers still pay price of no paid parental leave. New York, AP, Nancy Glynn could not afford a funeral for her newborn son who died after a premature birth. She was already taking time off from her job as a waitress in Manchester, New Hampshire, to recover from a C-section. Adding to her difficulties, her husband had an unplanned surgery just 2 days after the baby died. Sawyer was cremated, his remains put into an urn the funeral home provided for free. The couple, who also had a 3-year-old son, struggled to pay the bills and their gas was cut off. A cousin set up a GoFundMe campaign to help them pay the rent. Glynn was back at work after just a few weeks, smiling for customers. She sometimes hid in the restaurant office to cry. Just seeing a family come in was triggering. Seeing a kid come in, said Glynn, who now works for several non-profits, including MomsRising, a group that advocates for paid parental leave and other policies. But we had to make the money back. Glynn is on the losing side of a growing movement to provide U.S. workers with paid parental leave. Congress passed a bill earlier in the week giving the country's 2.1 million government employees 12 weeks of paid parental leave as part of a defense bill that President Donald Trump signed into law on Friday. But it still leaves about 80% of U.S. workers in the private sector with no access to paid family leave. The U.S. is one of a handful of countries that lacks a federal policy, at least for new mothers, leaving employers to decide whether to offer it. Disproportionately, paid leave has gone to higher-paid white-collar workers. Just 9% of wage earners in the bottom 25% have access to paid family leave, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That compares to 30% of wage earners in the top 25%. The same year Sawyer died, 2015, Netflix granted new parents a year of paid time off. Most other major tech companies have similar generous policies, as do big banks and major consulting firms. Meanwhile, millions of construction workers, retail workers, public school teachers, warehouse and transportation workers and restaurant employees have to forego paychecks to take time to care for a new child. As a waitress, Glynn belonged to the group least likely to have paid parental leave, part-time workers. Women are historically more likely to work part-time than men, often because of caregiving responsibilities, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That usually means foregoing paid time off after giving birth, a trade-off that can be painful. After she had her daughter, Daniela Knight took a part-time job for a website dedicated to helping parents train their babies to sleep through the night. It seemed perfect for the Virginia mom, a recent college graduate who could not afford childcare on top of payments on $80,000 in student. For more on this story, visit the news article link.